Have you ever stopped to think that everything around you, the universe, life, even your own consciousness, might actually be one enormous simulation? Like you're a character inside a giant game, where the rules of physics and existence are lines of code running on a cosmic machine. It sounds like a movie or a video game, but today we're diving deep into this hypothesis and exploring how artificial intelligence, physics, and even the games you know can help unravel whether we're just created characters or conscious players inside a system. If you're a fan of technology, programming, or just love imagining what's behind the veil of reality, this video is for you. We'll talk about digital realism, quantized universes, and even how the speed of light limit relates to the universe's frames per second. It's almost like understanding the universe as a supercomputer running the code of existence. We'll also compare this real universe to the digital worlds of AAA games, where characters are controlled by AI and sometimes even seem to gain their own awareness. Could our consciousness also be just an evolved line of code? And if so, can we glitch or hack the system? Get ready to question everything you think you know about yourself and the world, because the answers might be closer than you think. So get comfortable, grab your controller, or just your mind, and let's discover together, are you a created character or a conscious player inside the biggest game of all? Imagine the universe isn't a continuous and infinite space like we usually think, but more like a video game, where everything is made of tiny pixels or digital blocks. Only, in our case, these blocks are the fundamental units of space and time. This idea is called a quantized universe. In physics, we already know that on extremely small scales, space and time aren't continuous but jump in minimal packets, like pixels on a giant screen. Just like in a game, where the environment can only be rendered in specific units and not continuously, our universe can also be seen as one huge code running with defined rules. To make this analogy even clearer, have you heard of the speed of light? It's the maximum speed anything can reach in the universe. Think of it as the refresh rate or frame rate, FPS, of the universe, the number of frames per second your favorite game runs to show the next image. If the speed of light were the FPS of our reality, everything around us would happen in this steady, refresh rhythm of existence. But why does this matter? Because if the universe works like this, it can be understood as an enormous computational system where information is the basic element of everything. This is what some scientists and theorists call the information theory, which says the universe is essentially an information processor, a gigantic computer running the reality program. This idea isn't just science fiction. In theoretical physics, concepts like quantum entanglement, wave-particle duality, and the uncertainty principle indicate that reality behaves a lot like data and code manipulation, as if matter and energy were software instructions. So if the universe is a code and physics is the language of that code, we could be the data, or even the characters, inside that system. This explains why reality sometimes seems to obey strange rules, almost like a game with its own engine. But don't think this means everything is predictable. Just like in complex games where algorithms create emergent and unpredictable behaviors, the universe also has its surprises. And that's where digital realism connects to the real world, opening doors to a new way of seeing everything around us. When we think about modern games like the AAA titles that dominate PC and console screens, we're talking about complex worlds, rich in detail, full of characters that seem to come to life. But how is that possible? It all starts with digital realism, the combination of advanced rendering, artificial intelligence, and physical simulation that creates these virtual universes. At the core of these games, every character, or NPC, non-player character, is programmed to act in ways that simulate consciousness. They have routines, react to the environment, and even make decisions based on sophisticated algorithms. Even though they're controlled by lines of code, these NPCs can often fool our senses and make us wonder, do they know what they're doing? This relationship between code and behavior isn't far from our own reality. Imagine our universe works similarly. The particles and forces we know are like the sprites and textures of a giant game, and the rules of physics are the engine that determines how these elements interact. Moreover, modern games use something called on-demand rendering, or dynamic rendering, which means the world around you is only shown in detail when the player looks at it, saving resources and creating the sensation of a living world that responds to every action. In the real universe, some theories suggest something similar. Reality might manifest differently depending on the observer, something quantum physics already points out with the observation principle. This leads us to think that, like games, the universe might render its reality as consciousness observes. The comparison between AAA games and the universe doesn't stop there. Games have glitches and bugs that are often hard to predict, just like certain physical phenomena still challenge scientists' understanding. This opens up the hypothesis that we're immersed in a simulation that, as complex as it is, can have imperfections, just like any software. This comparison brings us a fascinating question. Are we, like NPCs inside a game, programmed characters? Or are we conscious players with the ability to perceive, influence, and even hack the system we're part of? In recent years, artificial intelligence has advanced impressively. Today, machine learning systems and neural networks can learn, adapt, and even make decisions that seemed exclusively human just a short while ago. This raises a crucial question. Could human consciousness also essentially be a kind of code, a highly evolved artificial intelligence? To understand this, we need to look at how AI works. Unlike traditional algorithms that follow fixed rules, neural networks are inspired by the brain's functioning, creating connections that strengthen or weaken based on experience. With this, machines can recognize complex patterns, interpret images, understand language, and even play games with surprising strategies. But what does this have to do with our consciousness? Some scientists and philosophers propose that consciousness isn't a mysterious or supernatural entity, but an emergent process, a kind of software running on the hardware of our brain. If that's true, our mind would be an incredibly sophisticated program, capable of generating thoughts, emotions, and even a sense of self. This concept challenges traditional ideas about free will and identity. If we are code, to what extent are our decisions programmed or spontaneous? And most importantly, can we hack our own consciousness, going beyond the limits of the system? In the AI field, there are already examples of machines learning to bypass rules, improvising solutions, and even surprising their creators, something comparable to breaking the system. If our consciousness works similarly, maybe we're capable of influencing reality in ways we don't yet understand. This hypothesis opens doors to deep philosophical debates. Are we NPCs stuck in code, or conscious players with the power to change our own programming? And what does that mean for the notion of soul, existence, and purpose? In the end, artificial intelligence isn't just a tool. It's a mirror reflecting what we might be, and maybe already are. By understanding AI, we can learn more about ourselves and the universe we live in. If the universe is indeed a massive simulation, or code running on a cosmic machine, it wouldn't be strange to find glitches or bugs in the system. And indeed, there are several phenomena in our everyday lives and in physics that might seem exactly like that. Small errors, flaws, or glitches in reality. A famous example is déjà vu, that strange feeling of having lived a moment before. Scientifically, we still don't have a definitive explanation for déjà vu. But if we look through the simulation lens, it could be a kind of unexpected loop or repetition in the universe's code. Another intriguing phenomenon comes from quantum physics, superposition, where particles can be in multiple states at once until observed. It's like a game loading different possibilities until the player makes a choice and the system finalizes that moment's rendering. Additionally, some unexplained anomalies like dark matter and dark energy, which make up most of the universe and remain a mystery to scientists, could be understood as hidden codes or unprogrammed areas of the simulation. There are also reports of strange experiences like lucid dreams that seem to transcend reality, or accounts of bugs in the physical world that defy logic. For many, these events indicate that reality isn't as solid as we think, but something malleable and subject to flaws. In games, bugs are code flaws that can cause everything from small visual distortions to completely unexpected behaviors. If the universe shares this computational nature, these phenomena could signal that our simulation isn't perfect, which opens a huge range of questions about our perception and the nature of reality itself. So, these glitches invite us to wonder, are we stuck in a program that can be hacked? Or is it even possible to modify our own reality, going beyond what our senses allow? After exploring so many ideas and from the universe as code to bugs and flaws that might exist in reality, maybe you're asking yourself, what does all this mean for me? If we accept the possibility that we are created characters or perhaps conscious players inside a giant simulation, it completely changes how we see our existence. The idea that consciousness might be a sophisticated code puts us in control of a big question. Can we break the system? That doesn't just mean bending physical rules, but thinking beyond the limits of what we believe possible, exploring creativity, critical thinking, freedom of choice, and even how we understand the world itself. If you're a player in the biggest game, your hand on the controller might be more powerful than you imagine. This view also invites deep reflection about our responsibility and ability to transform. After all, if we are code, we are also programmers, and we can learn to rewrite our own stories. Deep down, this perspective invites us to look inward, question our beliefs, and maybe discover that the greatest system failure we can cause is breaking ignorance and expanding our consciousness. So, if your mind is already buzzing with these ideas, know you're not alone. Science, philosophy, and technology are walking together to answer questions that once seemed impossible. And you? Are you ready to face this possibility and discover what it really means to be a created character or a conscious player inside the universe? We've reached the end of this journey through the universe as code, artificial intelligence, and the mystery of consciousness. What started as a science fiction idea became an invitation to think deeper about who we are and what our role is in this big game called reality. If all this sounds distant or even scary, remember, understanding the universe as a computational system doesn't diminish life's beauty. On the contrary, it shows we're part of something much bigger, something that unites science, technology, and philosophy into one single line of code, us. And now the question remains, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you keep playing passively, or will you try to understand the rules to, maybe, turn the game in your favor? Consciousness might be code, but the choice of how to play is in your hands. If you enjoyed this trip, you already know what to do. Hit the like button below to show you want more content like this. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. And drop a comment sharing what you think about the idea of the universe as code. I really want to hear your opinion. See you next time.